Hello and Assalamu alaikum to Madam Azura. My name is Safah Malik and today I'll be presenting Group 1 and we will talk about environmental and societal ethics in the pesticides industry. Let's get to know to the creators of this video. First we have Alisa, Natasha, Noor and Ezzati, Siti Noor, Syaamilah and Malik Safah. Before moving into our main video, which is going to be about pesticide industry, let's talk about what is pesticides. Pesticides are the unseen heroes of agriculture, safeguarding our crops from relentless assaults of pests, ensuring we have abundant food on our tables. And did you know that developed countries actually apply about 3,000 grams of pesticides per hectare? That's how critical they are to maintaining our agriculture productivity. Interesting, isn't it? So, other than agriculture uses like insecticides, which is used for control crop damaging insects, there is also non-agriculture uses to the pesticides, which basically involves from protecting crops to controlling diseases, vectors, and public health. Actually, pesticides play a pivotal role in multiple sectors. The pesticide industry isn't just about agriculture; it's actually a vast network of manufacturers and formulators, supporting industries like wood preservation and even carpet manufacturing. Even in our homes, pesticides are everyday defenders found in products like fly killers, ant killers, repellents, and rodenticides and fungicides. After understanding what is pesticides, let's talk about what are the ethical issues in the pesticides industry. So, imagine working every day with substances that could potentially harm your health. Basically, farmers and agriculture workers face this reality with pesticides, which pose significant short-term and long-term health risks. Even consumers are not immune, with insufficient data on the chronic impacts of prolonged exposure to pesticides residue. Then, we have another issue, which is environmental impact. So, pesticides don't just target pests, they can wreak havoc on our environment too. So, from contaminating soil, water sources, and ecosystems, these chemicals can harm non-target species like bees, birds, and aquatic life, basically disrupting the delicate balance of our biodiversity. Another issue that we have is informed consent and transparency. So, let me ask you a question. Would you use a product without knowing its risk? Well, many farmers and consumers are in the dark about the dangers of the pesticides due to inadequate information and insufficient labeling. So, this lack of transparency can lead to uninformed and potentially harmful decisions. Then, we have corporate responsibility. The marketing practices of pesticide companies raise serious ethical concerns, especially in developing countries with weaker regulatory oversight. So, small farmers actually often feel pressured to buy expensive pesticides, leading to economic strain and a dependency on chemical solutions. To summarize, the pesticide industry actually faces crucial ethical challenges that impact human health, the environment, the informed decision making, and even the corporate responsibility. Let's explore case study examples to analyze both positive and negative ethical practices in pesticides industry. So let's talk about a case study of good ethics. So basically, this case study explores the efforts to tackle pesticides poisoning in Ecuador's Carchi province, where potato farming heavily used to rely on chemical insecticides. So then a project was basically initiated to reduce pesticide dependence and improve health outcomes while maintaining or enhancing agriculture productivity. So basically, this project employs several ethical theories to guide its strategies and ensure ethical practices. So basically, by embracing integrated pest management, which is IPM, farmers not only protected their crops but also their health, wealth, and the environment. It's basically a win-win situation as what it's being taught in the utilitarianism theory. Also, farmers adopting IPM demonstrate prudence and respect, communities fosters mutual care and dialogue. Then, consider the interests of all involved, not just shareholders. That's exactly what says the stakeholder theory. So in this case study, inclusive approach ensures benefits for all stakeholders, collaborative efforts lead to sustainable practices. Then we have corporate social responsibility. So businesses contribute to society beyond profits. So basically, the agrochemical companies invest in health and safety, demonstrating social and environmental responsibility. So development and organization support sustainable initiatives, societal well-being. So let's move on to the outcomes and the lessons learned. Basically, there were healthier communities more. So the dramatic drop in pesticide-related illnesses, showcasing products' health impact. And then we have economic stability. So lower costs and higher profits and improved prosperity for farmers. Then another outcome that we got was environmental sustainability. So decreased pollution, boosted biodiversity, and supported eco-friendly practices. Then we have cultural transformation. So there was enhanced community dialogue on health and safety and bridging gender gaps. So there was a policy success too. So advocacy led to banning actually harmful pesticides and embedding IPM in education for lasting benefits. Then we have the corporate responsibility. So the agrochemical firms investing in health and safety training, embracing the social responsibility. So basically, the Cargi case study in Ecuador exemplifies unethical sustainable solutions to pesticide use, emphasizing the importance of holistic ethical consideration in decision making for just and comprehensive outcomes.
So next is Malaysian oil palm plantation. So the first one is affect workers' health. Oil palm plantation workers face health risks due to pesticide exposure, affecting their well-being and livelihoods. Next is lack of protection and medical care. Malaysian palm oil industry has faced criticism for the lack of protection. For example, working conditions, health risks, limited access to healthcare, and labor rights. The third one is ban announcement of pesticides. So, implementing bans on hazardous pesticide faces industry pressure and government issue. And last one, industries prioritize profit. Palm oil industry in Malaysia prioritize profitability as significant contributor to national economy such as GDP.
So, let's talk about the ethical theories. So, according to the utilitarianism, to prioritize the well-being of stakeholders, which included workers, community, and consumers, over all palm industry profits. So implement policies to basically minimize the pesticide risk for long-term benefits, basically. Then we have our stakeholder theory. So considering interests of all stakeholders, which are investors, workers, communities, and environments, they need to engage diverse perspectives for ethical decision making. Then we have our corporate social responsibility. So they need to operate responsibly beyond profit maximization. They need to invest in worker safety, sustainable practices, and transparent communication. Then they need to act with integrity, acknowledge risks, and show compassion towards the affected individuals, which could uphold the virtues like transparency and accountability as taught by virtue ethics. Let's talk about outcomes and the lessons learned from this case study of violation ethics. So, first of all, regulatory oversight. So, strengthening regulations and enforcement is crucial to prioritize public health over industry profits in pesticide use. Then we have actually worker safety. So, ensuring proper training, protective gears, and medical care for agriculture workers is essential to mitigate pesticide exposure risks. Then they should also put education efforts. So, raising awareness among workers about pesticide hazards and safe handling practices is actually very vital for preventing health issues. Then they should also focus on the gender equality. So, recognizing and addressing the specific vulnerabilities of women in agricultural settings is necessary for equitable protection. Then they also need to care for the environmental conservation. So, promoting sustainable farming practices that minimize pesticide use and protect ecosystems is imperative for long term sustainability. I hope this all was informative for you. So, now let's move on to the environmental ethics and compliance of pesticides. Impact on biodiversity. So, first of all, we look into the harm to protected species and their habitats. So, basically, pesticides can harm protected species and their habitats, especially in areas of high biodiversity. This includes the unintended killing of beneficial insects and the contamination of soil and water, which can actually and eventually lead to the decline of plant and animal populations. And the other one is the regulatory compliance. So organizations must ensure that their operations do not harm wildlife, adhering to the environmental laws and regulations, which is designed to protect the biodiversity. This involves assessing the potential impact of pesticides on local ecosystems and implementing measures to minimize the harm. let's talk about pollution and waste management. So, for the air quality control, the use of pesticides can actually contribute to air pollution, affecting both the environment and human health. So, businesses must manage the release of pollutants into the atmosphere within the acceptable limits. So, employing air quality control measures and clean technologies. Then, we have water quality and quantity. So, proper management of water resources is crucial, including treating wastewater properly before discharge and using water efficiently to prevent wastage. Pesticides can contaminate even water bodies, which can actually cause risks to aquatic ecosystems and drinking water supplies. Now, handling hazardous waste. So, pesticides often contain hazardous materials that require proper handling and disposal to avoid environmental contamination. This includes ensuring that land is not degraded through irresponsible practices. Sustainable practices. So, integrated pest management (IPM) strategies can actually help minimize the use of pesticides and reduce their impact on the environment. IPM combines non-chemical methods with safer chemical methods to manage pests effectively. So, basically, addressing the regulatory capture within the agencies responsible for the pesticide regulations such as EP is essential. This involves separating regulators from the industry. They oversee to ensure that the environmental justice communities are not disproportionately affected by pesticide use. I hope that information was helpful. So now, let's move on to the societal ethics and the compliance. First, we will talk about health and safety measures for workers and consumers. So, ethical considerations form the foundation for ensuring the well-being of both workers and the consumers. Businesses are ethically obligated to create a safe working environment and offer products that do not compromise the health and safety of consumers, which are guided by the ethical principles like beneficence and non-maleficence. Companies prioritize the welfare of individuals impacted by their operations. By implementing robust health and safety protocols, organizations showcase their dedication to ethical practices and social accountability. Moving on to the second point, ethical responsibilities towards community. So, ethical obligations extend to communities influenced by business activities such as the use of pesticides. Companies must navigate the ethical dimensions of their actions on the environment and local residents. So, concepts such as environmental justice and corporate social responsibility underscores the significance of businesses engaging with affected communities, addressing their concerns, and mitigating any negative repercussions of pesticide usage. So, ethical decision making involves striking a balance between economic interest and social and environmental considerations. Let's talk about the importance of transparency and clear communication with the public. So, transparency and open communications are ethical imperatives for businesses committed to operating in a socially responsible manner. So, transparent dialogue fosters trust, fosters accountability, and promotes ethical behavior. Ethical principles of honesty, integrity, and respect for stakeholders actually guide businesses in openly sharing information about their practices, policies, and environmental impacts. Through engaging in transparent communication with the public, so companies exemplify ethical leadership and a dedication to transparency and responsibility. So let's conclude. Pesticides used in Malaysian oil palm plantation poses significant health risks, especially for women workers, and severely impacts the environment. Despite the known risks, industry pressure hinders policy changes, indicating governance issues. So the ethical theories suggest prioritizing people and the planet over profit, advocating for responsible practices and sustainable farming. Key lessons emphasize the need for stronger regulations, work safety, education, gender equality, and corporate responsibility. Environmental ethics underscore the importance of protecting biodiversity, adopting sustainable practices. Ensuring health and safety involves creating safe work environments, addressing community concerns, and maintaining transparent communication to build the trust. So, let's move on to the recommendations for improving ethical practices in the pesticides industry. Strengthening regulatory oversight and compliance. which basically emphasizes on the need for stronger regulation and enforcement to prioritize public health over the industry profits, particularly actually in the context of Malaysian oil palm plantations case. Number two, promoting integrated pest management, which is IPM. So the IPM education and incentives corresponds to the success of CAR-T product in reducing pesticides used through IPM techniques and also emphasis on the need for such methods to improve health and environmental outcomes. Number three, ensuring health and safety measures for the workers. So, protective care and health monitoring aligns with the importance of worker safety discussed in both case studies, highlighting the need for proper training, protective gear, and medical care to mitigate the health risks. Number four, addressing gender inequality in agriculture settings. Basically, it's all about women's vulnerabilities. Directly addresses that heightened risks faced by women due to pesticide exposure and the lack of training and awareness, which exacerbates their vulnerability. Number five, enhancing corporate social responsibility. So, CSR theory's application in both case studies, where agrochemical companies and development organizations are encouraged to prioritize ethical practices and community engagement, which is very essential. Number six, fostering environmental conservation and biodiversity. Pollution control and habitat protection emphasis on the environmental impact of pesticide use, including biodiversity loss, groundwater contamination, and the need for sustainable practices. Number seven, improving transparency and communication. So, public awareness and stakeholder dialogue emphasize the importance of transparency and open communication, which is actually very essential for fostering trust and accountability. Number eight, implementing ethical business practices. Ethical theories application ensures that the business practices are guided by ethical theories, such as utilitarianism, deontologist ethics, virtue ethics, stakeholder theory, and CSR. Ethical decision-making frameworks corresponds to the need for ethical frameworks that ensures comprehensive and just outcomes, as highlighted in the successful application of the various ethical theories in the Karchi case. I hope you liked the video. Thank you for watching.